Hi and good evening. This is James with Bee Prepared Homestead. Just thought I would go ahead and go over some news articles that I collected over the last few days. Just felt that these are kind of pertinent as far as getting some of this knowledge out to everybody. Unfortunately, a lot of this news, I'm not saying that it doesn't make it into mainstream, but a lot of it actually doesn't. The stuff that does, it just gets buried. It may be on one of the second pages or whatever, but it's not like a headline thing and quickly gets forgotten. So, but in my opinion, these were definitely worth having another look at because they can have impact on you and myself, you know, in the not so far off future. So some of the things I was going to concentrate on tonight, a lot of it has to do with the Ukraine and our march towards major conflict with Russia. You know, this is something that we should all be concerned about. So those were some of the articles I was going to cover, and then some of the articles I was going to also cover are the things that are going on with a lot of the facilities we have here in the United States that are kind of like food processing facilities. Uh, there's been a lot of fires and a lot of factories that for whatever reason have closed or for whatever reason have had some type of issue that's forced them to become non-operational, as well as all the livestock that over the course of the last several months has been killed off due to different factors in the environment, from our chickens to our cows and so forth. So that there's a lot of things that we need to be looking at. Remember, you know, in the world we live in today, there really are no coincidence. Boy, I can't even say the word. There's no coincidence. Everything that we have happening out, you know, in our world right now is something that is happening because it's supposed to. And unfortunately, because of the way it's happening, it's very compartmentalized. So it's hard to see the big picture. You have to look at this stuff a lot, you know, the news, and you have to connect the dots. And once you start doing that, then all of a sudden you start seeing, you know, hey, I kind of am getting that. I see what's going on now. But that being said, I'll go ahead and go over some of these. Maybe this can help some of you all connect the dots. I don't know. However, it's definitely worth the listen. I'll supply the links as well to some of the stuff I'm reading off on. My face will be turning periodically towards the screen so that I can read the articles that I have saved, you know, into a Word document. Unfortunately, my memory is not that good, you know, where I can remember everything in my head. I got to look at something. I always like to start out, you know, these little news blogs with just some of the natural things that are going on, you know, in our world today. We know, you know, in the Atlantic right now, we have some tropical systems that are forming. So that's just something that we need to always keep an eye on, regardless, because if you live on the East Coast, you know, or if you live along the Gulf Coast, these things, you know, hit us every year, and it's good to have extra supplies because you never know, you know, if one of these storms comes over you. And if it does, you know, sometimes getting your power back on can be a day, 3 days, 2 weeks. And in Florida or, you know, anywhere along the Gulf Coast, you go without power, you know, you end up in 98, 99 degree temperatures. You're sure going to wish you had a generator and at least a fan because it's, you know, it's rough, the humidity and the heat. Ugh. So anyways, just wanted to comment on that. As far as seismic activity, I have noticed something that's a little odd going on out there, and that is over in the South Carolina area. A few days ago, we had an earthquake over there that was a 3.4. So, you know, it's a little large for that area, the type of quake. They do get quakes along the East Coast, few each year. They're not real common. So, it was worth mentioning. Now, I've kind of kept an eye on that area since, and it's had two more quakes. Uh, I believe both today on the 29th. One was a 3.5 and a 3.6. So, in this case, we're seeing the magnitude slightly elevating with these quakes. Is it a precursor to something else? I don't know, but I do know that again, that particular area is not too common for quakes, but it does get them. Getting them back to back like that, that is a little unusual. So it is worth keeping an eye on and seeing what's going on. So also, I look at the sun every couple of days. I go out to a few different sites that put out information that NASA gives them. One of the things I like to check out is if the sun's kicking off flares, what kind of flares they could be. For those of you that aren't aware, solar flares themselves, if it's a big enough one, it could knock out satellites, things like that. It could cause problems to our country, the world, in fact, if something like that were to happen, if it was a large flare. We have M-class flares that come off the sun all the time, and they impact us very little, maybe a little radio disruption, things like that. It's the X-rays, the X-flares that you really have to watch out for. And those are measured in magnitude, so the X-flare does increase. And the bigger the flare, obviously, the more damage it could do to our planet and our electrical system, our power grid, and so forth. So as far as flares are concerned right now, M-class flares for the next 24 to 48 hours, expect maybe 10% chance of having one of those come off the sun, and then a 0.01 for the X flare. So real small probability for the M flares and almost none for the X flares right now. So that's a good thing. Every blue moon will have, an X flare come off. We had a couple, over the course of the last several years that came off, but they were out the back of the sun that were pretty massive. They could have done something to this planet, but luckily they weren't Earth directed when they went off. But it just goes to show that, right place, right time, right direction, and, life could change for all of us just within a matter of a few days. So again, it's always important for you to make sure you keep a little extra stuff, that you're prepared in case, we have some event like this that occurs. I'm going to move on to the articles now that I did find. Like I said, the vast majority of them are centered around what's going on in the Ukraine. So, 'cause a lot's happened there, and we just keep we keep seeing things escalate to, over and over. Every day it's something new. Now, again, a lot of it doesn't get reported in mainstream media. I don't know why. And then if it does, it's downplayed stuff. But it's important stuff to make sure that you do read or look for and search for, because this could certainly have a very big impact on all of us if things go south with us having a major confrontation with another superpower. The consequences could be catastrophic. So the first article that I was looking at, and this happened a few days ago, but it was a massive Russian missile attack against crowded shopping center in the Ukraine. The significance behind that is the fact that it was a missile used against a civilian target. So, the dynamics now, yes, civilians are casualties, in wars, but so far, most of the targets, although there have been civilians that have been injured, have still been targets centered around strategic points, military points, things like that. This one was directly targeted against civilians. There was, from my knowledge, there was no real strategic anything around the shopping center. So, either that means that something's changing in the dynamics of Russia itself and how they're going to continue to pursue, this conflict, and it could be escalating to a new level with them. It could also be a psyop, and I'll be honest, it could. I wouldn't put it past the West to also create an issue in which people will show sympathy towards. So, that's all speculation, obviously. It's really up to you. Do your research and decide for yourself what you think. But regardless of what it is, it's definitely, bringing us a few steps closer to having a real conflict with Russia itself. So I'm going to move on to the next article, which is Russia to supply Belarus, Serbia, Iran, Venezuela, Cuba with nuclear-capable Iskander M missile systems. That's not good at all. So just think about that. These places would be able to launch strikes. So we wouldn't want those systems put into those places. It's very dangerous, and again, it also is going to escalate things once again because they put those there, and that just means we're going to add additional armament ourselves. Each time we do this, or Russia does this, it brings us, a couple of steps closer. And, there's going to be a point where one side is just finally going to commit. NATO dramatically increases forces on high alert to over 300,000 from 40,000 amid Russia threat. So we're now expanding our forces. That goes right along with the first two things I just said. It's bringing us closer to an actual confrontation. You see that we're beefing up our military for that very reason. So, the writing's on the wall there, and you really should think about, again, getting yourself prepared. Be prepared. Look at what you need to have in a survival situation, because what's going to be valuable for you is not going to be a dollar bill anymore. It may be seeds, it may be penicillin, other things, because barter, if society starts to come apart, will have more value than the fiat currency that is $32 trillion, in debt, and there's no way we could ever pay that off. So it's not even a conceivable thing anymore. It's a joke. So I'm going to move on to the next article after that, which is Turkey agrees to back Finland and Sweden in their bid to join the alliance, NATO. Now, from what I remember, about a month ago, Russia said if Sweden, and I'm not sure if they included Finland, but if they joined NATO, Russia would strike them, possibly with nukes. So up until, from then till now, Turkey wasn't on board with all of this. They were saying no, I guess. So that delayed whatever, possibilities that could have happened then with them joining. But now it looks like the green light's been given and they are going to join NATO. That being said, is Russia going to make good on their words? Are they going to attack Sweden or Finland or both for joining NATO? Because that's what they said they were going to do. So these articles that I'm reading off, by the way, I will put the links on the site for these so you can check them out for yourself. But all of this stuff that I'm reading off bodes ill for us, because it's certainly, every one of those is not even a step. It's more of a run towards a major confrontation that you and I are not going to benefit from when it happens, I'll be honest. So I found another article. This one I found earlier today. Russia threat actors may be behind the explosion at a liquefied natural gas plant in Texas. The incident took place on June 8th. That one may be more conjecture than anything. I did put the link up on it. Is it plausible? Sure. Let's face it, the border is pretty much wide open at this point, so anyone could pass through there. It's a good place for the enemy to come through. It's who's going to stop them at this point, right? So that's a plausible thing, but again, you can read the article, whether it's a legit valid thing. Not really sure there. Army drops requirement for high school diploma amid recruiting crisis. So it looks like the Army is dropping their standards. That could happen in other branches as well. I know that at this point, at least from what I've been reading, all 4 branches are having issues recruiting people into the armed forces for whatever reason. So they're dropping their standards down. At least the Army is at this point. It is what it is, but they're trying to get people recruited. It doesn't look like they're getting the people that they wanted in. So what's the next phase after that if if that doesn't work and they need more people? That's why when you turn 18 as a guy, you register. So that could happen, but who knows? Biden announces U.S. military reinforcements across Europe. Okay, so now we're adding U.S. military reinforcements across Europe. Again, we're beefing up the Army, our military across Europe. For what? For confrontation. Confrontation with who? Could we have confrontation with China? Oh, we certainly can. In fact, that's another one on the back burner that could blow up in our faces very soon as well. But the immediate, danger we have in front of us right now is Russia. And every time we do anything like this, or they do anything like what they're doing, it's only escalating it, and I just said that, I don't know how many times already, but we're just bringing, ourselves closer and closer to the, a major confrontation. Okay, so I'm gonna switch gears now. I think I talked enough about the Ukraine and war. Nobody wants, a war of that magnitude. I certainly don't want to see a mushroom cloud go up anywhere near me. I know that I can't imagine anybody would want to see that, or would want, their family to endure anything like that, or friends and so forth. So, it's we're in some very precarious times, but we have to accept the fact right now that we're closer, to having an event like that happen than we've probably ever been before. And it could happen. We don't want it to happen, but it could happen. And to ignore the fact that it could happen could be a very, very poor decision, one that ultimately could cost you your life or your family's life. So you got to keep yourself abreast to all of this stuff. If you don't want to research it, listen to other people. I'm vague with what I'm talking about. I got, there's other people that are more detailed than me, out on YouTube. There's a lot of articles out there. You just got to look. Obviously, your mainstream media are not the best sources, but there's plenty of other alternative news sites out there. that are reputable, that you can get some decent news from. And it's legit, it's real news, it's not fake. But you got to look. You got to find it for yourself. So, where you can listen to somebody else talk and learn it that way as well. But getting out the truth is an important thing. Getting out information to everybody is an important thing. And making sure that people understand that it's no longer a good thing to live under the pretense of normalcy bias. You've got to get yourself out of this state that everything seems okay, so everything is okay. It's not okay. It's not. And we're quickly seeing everything unravel around us. So the quicker you can shake that off and realize that you're in very real danger, as we all are from all of this, the better off you're going to be. It's okay, sometimes you want to make yourself a little scared, because that's going to motivate you to take the right steps to protecting yourself and your family. I'm going to switch gears to something else that's been going on, and this has been in our country. It's been happening for about a year right now. We've had a lot of processing plants, food processing plants, things like that have either gone up in smoke, they've had some type of issue where they've been shut down, or they've just closed. We've also had a lot of our livestock that's been killed off, chickens due to virus, beef due to whatever, turkeys, so forth. And then, with this heat wave we just had and went through across a big part of the United States, I saw several articles come in where there's been a lot of crops that were damaged, if not completely destroyed. So that being said, when you see the amount of facility disruptions that we've had over the course of the last year, it's not really good news. I get it, buildings do catch fire sometimes, things happen. But and I'm going to put a link on there that does list off 100 different links with things that have happened in the course of just less than a year. And it's far too much stuff at this point that's happened. This doesn't seem like a natural thing. Now, the reason why most people don't know about it is because it's pretty compartmentalized. I think a lot of this is reported at a local level for whatever reason. The primetime mainstream media just haven't clued into this. They haven't connected the dots, apparently, and have reported this as, hey, this is a major concern that we're seeing this happen all across the United States. So, and I had saw an article, and this one came out a day or two ago, but another, and I'll put the link on for this, but another food processing plant shutters operations, adding to a long list of closures. So we have another one that's closing. But again, I'll put the link up on there. If you want to read it, you can. It's just that's a very concerning thing in a time where we're seeing high inflation that looks like it's going to continue to go up, gas prices that are going to continue to go up, and then we're having all these disruptions in our own country. Just kind of feels in a way like we're under attack, doesn't it? So at least I feel that way. If you do a lot of research, you may feel that way too. But again, that's just my own opinion. There was another article that came out as well that I included in this. It just kind of cheesed me more than anything, and that is the CEO of Nestle came out with a statement that humans do not have the right to water. Water should be privatized and controlled. So basically he's saying that the elite, the corporations, should control water. Now, we live on a water planet, and we're primarily water ourselves, and you have these these guys sitting up in their ivory towers that are wanting to privatize and control the water, are they for real? Think about that. That's not good. That's a really bad idea. So just thought I'd throw that in. But that's a very arrogant statement. Really shows, once again, the type of people, that are calling or helping to call the shots in this country, because the country obviously isn't really being run by our government. They're just bought, by the large mega corporations that they work for, and they represent them, not us. This article I saw today, Chevron selling California property and moving company and jobs to Texas. I don't even think I need to comment on that one. It's California. They're moving to Texas. Duh. Let's face it. Would you stay in California if you were a gas company? So, U.S. emergency oil. And this one I saw. This one is definitely. This is not good at all. We get too much lower than this, and this could have some very severe consequences here in the United States. So let me start over with this. U.S. emergency oil reserves fall to 25 days as Biden releases more crude into the market. That's not good. We start getting below 25 days, and it's not far out that you're going to really start seeing some huge jumps in gas, and also the availability of it. You could be going down to get gas and have to drive. You may run out of gas just to find a gas station that has gas. So that's something to really think about, and that's not a far off in the future kind of thing. That's something that could happen 6 weeks from now. I don't know, but that's a bad thing. That's a really bad thing. That's not good. So anyways, I wanted to throw that in and just bring to everybody's attention some of these things that were going on. I'm going to end it with one last thing, and this one just kind of cheeses me a little bit. It's more of a historical thing. It's not going to really have bearing on your wallet or anything like that, but it's still something that's important that we need to think about. I'm just going to say this real quick. History itself, when we create, statues and art and things like that depict events that occurred previously, within the history of mankind, we make those for a reason. It's not to glorify things. It wasn't really for beauty. It's to remind you of what happened. Whether it was, from the Civil War to the Revolutionary War, to World War II to World War I, and so forth and so on, back and back and back. There's always been some type of symbolism that was created to remind you of what took place and why. And that's an important concept to get in your head, is that you don't destroy history. You don't destroy it because it offends you. History is there to teach you. It's not supposed to make you feel comfortable or happy. It's supposed to make you think about what took place and understand that we don't want that to happen again. So we have these reminders out there, that help us to remember, what our ancestors went through, what they fought for, what was gained and what was lost. And, to look at the stuff we have today and then arbitrarily discard it because it offends somebody, um, you know, that's the wrong direction. I don't care what side of the aisle you sit on, that is the wrong direction. That is going to only lead down a path that none of us want to go. So, anyways, I'll get to the article real quick. Cornell Library removes the Gettysburg Address and the Lincoln bust, I guess, from their library. It may seem, inconsequential, but it's not, because again, we're taking history down. Apparently, I guess someone complained out there that these things were in the library, and so the library opted to move them. Historical things moved because someone was unhappy. Come on, people. We were a strong country. We were a strong country. What has happened to our country? We were strong. A country that is strong is a country that will survive. Strong people, strong country. Weak people, conquered country. It's basic, and as far as conquering is concerned, oh, America, the imperialistic country, blah, 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 came over and did what it did. Yes, it did. Every country has. Get over it. Every country out there has at some point either conquered or been conquered. That's what we've done since, we've been recording history. We've been conquering each other repeatedly, over and over and over. There's countries that have been conquered multiple times. There have been people who have been repressed and enslaved, over the course of the last, several thousand years. More than you could ever even count of different groups, and so this stuff's been going on for a very long time. I'm not saying it's a good thing. It's not a good thing. But we destroy history, and we're just going to doom ourselves to repeat these things over again. We'll repeat it. We won't learn from it. And apparently, we've successfully done this, what we're doing right now, I'm sure several times in the past, because we have, as human beings, as we come in and conquer other nations, regardless of who it is, the first thing we do is go in and rewrite the history for people. And unfortunately, even now, I looked at the history books that they have in high school today versus what I took. Nothing like what I took. Completely different. You'd think that, we were the worst people in the world. I didn't learn that. I learned something very different. So the narrative that's being pushed in public schools right now, I don't know if it's the best thing anymore. If you have kids in school right now, I would be disappointed, because of what is being taught. It's nothing to do with being proud of who you are or anything like that anymore. So we're in some pretty dangerous times with the type of ideology that's being touted out there. And again, it's something to really think about. So on that note, I'm not up on a pedestal to preach things. I'm just sending out warnings because, unfortunately, the things that we see that are going on are just things that they've happened already countless times. And for some reason, human beings we tend to keep choosing the same path over and over again. And you have all these groups that are saying, oh, well, we're going to rise up to the next stage of our evolutionary awareness. We're going to reach a level of synchronicity and unity and singularity and blah, 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 and so forth. Yes, one day we may, but we can't do that until we can first get past the fact that we got to stop repeating our mistakes over and over again. We got to stop that. And, you know, yet again, we're repeating the same mistakes over and over again. So I'm stopping there. I know, blah, 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 blah. But, you know, love and peace to everybody out there, family, friends. You know, I'm just trying to get information out to everybody. So y'all take care. Everybody have a great night. And of course, if you like my video, please hit the like button on it. Subscribe to the channel. Share the video if you can, because the whole reason I'm just putting these out is I'm just trying to get information out to people that they aren't normally getting told with mainstream news. Trying to help people connect the dots, you know, and see things for what they are, what's really happening out there. So that being said, y'all have a great night. Bye.